Good afternoon. In these times of separation and isolation, thank you for joining us with a common spirit and a common goal to celebrate story making in many of its forms. You'll have seen many presentations in the last year where people have manufactured bookshelves and backgrounds to make themselves look well read and much more intelligent. None of that for me. No, welcome here to my front room, which you may mistake for the Edwardian splendour of the Lord Pirrie Room in the Titanic Hotel on the Belfast waterfront, surrounded by maritime history and watched over by Samson and Goliath. Nothing to do with the Jimmy Nesbitt TV show. Normally, we would all be gathered together for this final event of the 2020 Storymaking Festival, but of course, the festival has had to adapt this year to keep us all safe. But will our mantra today comprise of those three little words that mean so much to each and every one of us? You're on mute. This is a whole new way of doing things, as I'm sure you'll appreciate, but today we're truly international, with people joining us from all over the globe, from Limavady to Lurgan and all points in between. So we're hoping the technical side goes smoothly, but if there are any gremlins, please do stick with us. I know a man in Lurgan who can fix anything at the right price. So what is this most glamorous, prestigious and talent bulging of events? Well, for those who haven't been involved before, the Waterways Storymaking Festival is a local community event. It started in 2017 and has been developed over the past 4 years by the Waterways community, a social enterprise dedicated to reconnecting us with the natural environment of our rivers, our lakes, and our most magnificent coastline. The idea behind the festival was to acknowledge the power of storytelling and creative thinking in our lives, to encourage people who may not have had creative opportunities or indeed the confidence to think of themselves as creative. This festival is for absolutely everyone. Even if you haven't written a poem since that time in P7 when your teacher asked you to do one for homework. This whole thing started with writing and tapestry competitions. It's grown gradually to include craft, photography and writing categories, with creative workshops led by crafters and established writers, hosted by key partners such as Libraries NI, Titanic Belfast, RSPB, Waterstones, RNIB, and many community groups around Ireland and the UK. Thousands of people have taken part, and we thank you all for sharing in your generosity and your talent and your time in spreading joy. The festival has been supported by the Arts Council, as well as a large team of writers, artists and volunteers who've kept things moving, particularly in this last and very difficult year. There are some anxious writers and photographers out there waiting to hear the verdict of the judges. So let's get started. First up, we have a few words from Liam Hanaway, Chair of the Arts Council for Northern Ireland.
Hello, I'm Liam Hanaway and I'm the Chairperson of the Arts Council Northern Ireland. I'm delighted to be asked to say a few words at the opening of this tremendous event. Indeed, the Arts Council is delighted to have been able to provide funding for the Waterways Storytelling Festival, because we believe it's an important event in creativity in Northern Ireland each year. Creative beings is what we are. No matter what age we are, no matter where we come from, we all love creating something, whether that's a story, whether that's a picture, whether that's a model, a piece of craft. It's all about creativity and the joy we get out of that. And indeed, it doesn't matter where we come from or who we are. We need to have that opportunity to create and to showcase our creativity. All we need is a bit of time, a wee bit of help sometimes, and we can create something. And the Waterways Storytelling Festival gives us an opportunity to showcase that creativity. The Waterways theme is also very important. We live in an island where we have wonderful shorelines, wonderful rivers, canals, lakes, and indeed a rich natural environment. Indeed, if the pandemic has done one good thing, it's given us an opportunity to go out and explore the natural environment and the natural world and use that as an instrument for our creativity. I want to pay particular tribute to the volunteers and the members of the Waterways Festival Committee who organised this event. They have, despite the challenges of this pandemic, brought the festival online and stuck doggedly to make sure that the pandemic didn't stop the festival from happening this year. We owe them a great debt of gratitude. Finally, in terms of the people that contributed to the festival, I want to also thank you, because you can't have a festival if people don't submit pieces of creativity for the festival. Indeed, you have done that in your numbers. Indeed, the judges, I believe, have had a terrible time coming to the final decisions. So over the rest of the afternoon, you're going to get an opportunity to see all the shortlisted submissions, and you're going to sit back and enjoy them. And I know you're going to have a wonderful afternoon. So finally, thank you for listening to me. Enjoy the creativity, and hopefully as you watch on, that it will spark something in your mind to go out and create something again for next year, because that's what life in the arts and culture is all about. It's about creating beautiful things. So thank you for listening to me, and have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Liam. Thanks for those kind words. I know the Waterways Committee, or the Waterways community, greatly appreciates the support of the Arts Council for this festival and wouldn't have been able to carry on developing without it. So thank you for your support. Right, we're going to kick off with the photography category in no particular order. The 5 wonderful shortlisted photos are Evening Reflection and Winter Dawn by Rhonda Glasgow, The Sun Sets on Summer by Morna Sullivan, Muted Reflection by Adrian Winter, and Fields of Gold by Leona Coulter. And just so you know what a difficult job the judges had choosing between them, we're going to show you the top 5 photos with a few words from the photographers, and you are in for an absolute treat. Have a look at this.
My name is Leona Coulter, and the title of my photograph is Fields of Gold. The photo was taken at an area known as Broadwater. This is a 3-mile towpath walk between Moira Railway Station and Achillee, and takes you along the route of the original Lagan Canal through Soldierstown. The Broadwater is a man-made feature built in a natural valley in order to retain a sufficient head of water to accommodate navigation. The appeal of this area is that it is a quiet, traffic-free, tree-lined towpath, and it is a haven for wildlife with swans, birds, ducks and herons to spot. Two and a half kilometres from Achillee, you arrive at Broadwater, which is an ideal spot to stop and take in the natural surroundings. There is always a view worth taking in regardless of the weather. This is a location I visit very often. It is a popular spot with fishermen, walkers, cyclists, runners and dog walkers. I tend to take photos of interest on all my walks, so it's always handy to have the camera at hand. I took this photograph with my iPhone camera. I chose this image for a number of reasons, but in particular the variety of colours that are present in the photograph. The vibrant green blades of grass in the foreground set against the bold green of the tree line that lead your eye to the glass-like surface of the water. At this time it was the glinting, rich field of gold which captured my attention and is the focus beneath the pink, wispy and fluffy clouded blue sky. For me, this photograph conveys feelings of relaxation, warmth, peacefulness and gratitude for our local natural surroundings, which especially over the past year has been our little local sanctuary.
My name is Adrian Winters and my photo is entitled Muted Reflection. I captured the image at Oxford Island Nature Reserve on the southeastern shores of Loch Ness. The location is a short drive from my house, which enables me to visit on my lunch breaks and is a getaway from the computer screen. On this particular morning there was a dense layer of fog and I had intended to take a long exposure of the wooden jetty disappearing into the distance through the mist. However, the water was so still and the swans basically motionless, all the elements came together to create a perfect mirror-like scene where it was impossible to tell where the horizon was. I capture the image using my Canon EOS 750D. This particular image was captured with a 250mm lens. I had to use my circular polarizer to reduce the glare created by the fog reflecting on the glass-like surface of the water, which in turn enhanced the clarity of the swan's reflection. I chose this particular image as it was one of my bucket list shots. I had seen other photographers capture similar images and had wanted to put my own spin on it. I had attempted it once before, but with disappointing results. To create the image I wanted, you are completely at the mercy of the elements, so when everything came together, I was determined to get it right this time. I think this shot for me was a turning point, as my true passion for photography lay in the form of capturing wildlife images. I hope this image conveys to others the true beauty and serenity of the swan, captured in a very minimal setting.
My name is Morna Sullivan and the title of my photograph is The Sun Sets on Summer. The photograph was taken late one evening last summer on Castle Rock Beach, looking towards Donegal. I find being at the seaside a real tonic and walking on the beach very therapeutic, this beach especially. Living in Northern Ireland, we're also fortunate to be within such close range to water, whether that's rivers, lochs or the sea. But last year, after a period of not being able to travel far, we spent a very welcome break on the north coast and really appreciated getting away to enjoy our stunning coastline. The Antrim Coast Road really is one of our most scenic drives and I always like to return. Right now I can't wait to go back when we're allowed to travel again. We'd set out for a walk after dinner that warm Sunday evening and noticed soft pink hues forming in the sky that gradually deepened into reds and gold tones. People were still swimming in the sea and surfing, and there was a real holiday atmosphere. I walked along the water's edge, letting the tide wash over my toes. It was just idyllic. The photograph was taken on my smartphone, along with around 50 others over a short space of time that evening, as the sun set. The sky and sea were so spectacular, I wanted to capture these special moments. That evening I was mesmerised by how the seascape reflected the changing colours in the sky. It was like a magical light show, better than fireworks. It was just stunning, as if the sky and the sea were on fire. I love the gathering cloud formations and the colours in the sunset reflected in the waves washing over the beach. I found being there invigorating, with the wind blowing as the waves rolled in, while at the same time it was very calming because it was such a peaceful scene. It was towards the end of summer and it felt as if the sun was setting not just for that day, but for the whole season.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Glasgow and the title of my photo is Evening Reflection. This photo was taken at Coney Island in County Down. I was with my friend Maddie Stewart who lives there. Maddie started a writing group in her home a few years ago and we meet there once a month, but we couldn't meet as a group in the lockdown. So I went to see Maddie one evening and we walked round the corner from her house towards this beautiful sunset across the bay. The scene was reflected in the window and I photographed it on my iPhone. Every summer we have a writer's retreat at Coney and we've walked around there quite often. It's a beautiful view at any time of the day. Maddie and I had a lovely evening, but we were a little sad the rest of the group weren't there, so I put the photo on our WhatsApp group and everyone knew exactly where it was. The second photo is called Winter Dawn. It is taken from a small car park on the road between Carryduff and Ballynahinch. I work just outside Ballynahinch and I travel that road at the same time every day. On that day, the colours of the sunrise flooded the sky for most of the journey. The snow added to the scene and I was just taking it in when I drove towards the lake. It's very unusual for me to stop. I normally wouldn't have time, and I didn't really have time. I just had to record it. And I remember feeling a little self-conscious because it's such a busy road. I took it with my iPhone and I only really looked at it later in the day. I love it as it's a place I pass almost every day, yet on that day, the timing, the snow and the sunrise combined to make a scene which was really spectacular.
Wow, what wonderful, stunning images. And the person charged with the task of announcing the winner in this category is local photographer Jude Rankin. Now, Jude only took up a camera 7 years ago, and with steady determination to learn her craft, she now runs her own photography business, and she's got a book of photographs coming out shortly. So that really shows that it's never too late to try something new, to go for a new direction in life, or to learn to be creative. All of those things. Jude, you will notice, is speaking to us from the wilds of Maghaberry, and you may be able to pick out, only just, the sounds of those magnificent March winds that tend to play their tune, particularly in Maghaberry. Jude.
Yeah, I'm Jude of Jude Rankin Photography. I'm here this afternoon in this lovely backdrop of the moors, which you can't actually see at the moment. They were there a moment ago, I can assure you. And I'm actually just and it's the best place to actually talk about the photographs and the photographic entries that we had for the Waterways Festival. So the images we have just seen are a mixture of styles and the way they've been taken. But what I'd like to do now is actually just go through the shortlist of the entries of the winners. We have Monica Sullivan with The Sunsets on Summer. We have Rhonda Glasgow with The Evening Reflection, and then we have Adrian Winters with Muted Reflection. So Monica's photograph, as you can see, is really striking. It's the sort of photograph you go down to the beach one day and you think, wow, I wish I could get that photograph. Well, Monica has, and that is the photograph that she should be proud of. It's lovely, the colours are lovely, she's just encapsulated everything. I would absolutely say that is a lovely photograph, and well done, Monica. On to Rhonda's entry, The Evening Reflection. If you look at this, the contrast with all the colours, the sea, you can see the reflection of the sea in the window, the blue, the white, and if you look close enough, I don't know if anyone has seen it, but there's a tiny green Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now I actually think that adds a bit of humour to the photograph as well. There's just a wee little tweak of comedy there, and I could actually imagine this sort of photograph up in a child's room, more so because of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, a wee boy's room, even a cafe by the sea, you know, anywhere by the sea. I just think it's an absolutely fantastic photograph, and well done, Rhonda. The last photograph is Adrian's, which is Muted Reflection. Obviously it's a mute swan looking at his reflection. Now, as soon as I saw this photograph, I thought to myself, serenity. It's just peaceful, it's thoughtful, the colours, there's even like a mist around it. There's just something about it that you would look at it and feel at peace. And it's a sort of photograph, I'll be totally honest, I could look at forever, because it's just peace. And I just like to say a well done to Adrian, because that is a fantastic photograph. So I'm very happy to announce that the winner this year is Adrian Winters with Muted Reflection. Well, as you can see, the moors are actually in view now, so I actually wasn't lying in the first place. This year's entries, all the entrants, they were fantastic, but if you weren't shortlisted, please try again next year. You just never know. And just keep on having a look at the Waterways Festival website on Facebook, and we'll see you again next year.
Congratulations to Adrian, and thank you very much to Jude for your energy and enthusiasm, and wish you continued success in your newfound career. Now, this is a completely interactive experience, so you can get involved. To do that, all you have to do is send us comments in the comments down below. Just let us know what you're thinking. Now, time for a real treat. We've got some gorgeous music from local singer-songwriter Ciara ONeil, who's joining us from across Belfast Docks, I should say, in Sailortown. Ciara's creative journey started a little more than 6 years ago when she produced her first album, which was called The Ebony Trail. And since then, she's worked with many world-class singers, songwriters, artists such as Christina Aguilera and Leanne Rimes, who I believe used to sing and dance on bars. It's not good. However, Ciara has performed in Nashville for an audience of millions as part of the Music City Roots Belfast to Nashville programme. And it's a pleasure to have her perform for us some of her timeless and haunting songs, specially chosen for the festival from her highly acclaimed first 2 albums and her new album yet to be launched. Here is Ciara ONeil.
Thank you, John, for the introduction, and thank you to the Waterways community and the Storymaking Festival for having me. My name's Ciara ONeil, and this first song is called Everything, and it's taken from my second album, Arrow. Does a river know it's flowing down towards the sea? Does the storm know it changes to a warm summer breeze? Does the city know its secrets are found within the streets? Does the lock know it opens with a key? Does beauty know how much it's craved by young and old? Does money know the lengths some people will go? Does a mirror know its power to see inside your soul? Does your favorite song know it gives you hope? One day soon you will know your place in the world. One day soon you will know just how much you're worth. Just because your eyes are open doesn't mean you see the beauty in everything. Does war know its end can begin with a smile, and one little footstep turns into a mile? Does love know it haunts, heals and destroys? Does a baby know its laugh brings you joy? One day soon you will know your place in the world. One day soon you will know just how much you're worth. Just because your eyes are open doesn't mean you see. Just because your eyes are open doesn't mean you see. Just because your eyes are open doesn't mean you see the beauty in everything. Just because your eyes are open doesn't mean you see the beauty in everything. This next song is brand new. It's called Le Soleil, and it's from my upcoming EP, which will be out this year. Bridge in the hour between day and night, landslide into the sea. Sit here for hours from low to high tide, the colors reflecting on me, in searching for answers I'm led to believe there are none so blind as those who don't feel all of the darkness and all of the pain. To know joy, you have to know fear. Future will come just like the sun. It's as certain as the changing of the leaves. I'm living days that some are denied. I won't take that for granted again. I've traveled so far from myself. I was walking a stranger's shoes. I tried to avoid it, but sometimes the past feels closer on these rainy afternoons. Life's full of surprises, excitement and crisis. We'll deal with whatever comes our way. Some people shine brightest, and some aren't the nicest. Just rise above them is what you always say. Just like the sun, just like the sun, just like the sun. Le soleil se lève toujours. Le soleil se lève toujours. Le soleil se lève toujours.
And now back to John at the Titanic Hotel.
Merci beaucoup. Ciara, how wonderful was that? Just because your eyes are open doesn't mean you see the beauty in everything. What amazing words, what wonderful words. And the voice of an angel. And you're probably thinking, I'd love to hear more from her. Well, the good news is Ciara will be back with more after the next category, which is prose. Entries for the prose category could be up to a maximum of 500 words, and since the work is slightly longer, the judges came up with a short list of 3 stories to be performed for you. Those 3 stories are Water Baby by Andrea Hope, My Lagan Retreat by Elizabeth McNeil, and Strangford Lock by Holly Ferris. And here are those 3 stories read for you by local actors Karen Hawthorne and Adam Douglas.
My Lagan Retreat. The trodden path along the Lagan meanders like the branches of a well-formed contorted willow. I have retreated to this much-needed infusion of nature offered by the Lagan to escape from the haunting silence that this coronavirus has brought to my home, my village, my country. I need to see God's hand at work, a gentle nudge to reassure me that He is in control and that He cares for me. I need to see His creation at work, albeit for a temporary respite. I have come early, social distancing foremost in my mind. I have left my safe haven, tired of the routine that lockdown brings, and searching for an escape from the clutches of depression that are wrangling their way into my thoughts. A flash of vibrant cyan blue feathers with orange plumage fleets past and demands my attention. I take a moment to watch the kingfisher weave swiftly to a well-hidden nest under the aged bridge, transporting a small fish from the bounty of the lagan to feed its hungry brood. It brings a welcome blast of colour to the dull mist of the morning. The silver birch trees, with their papery silver-white bark, silhouette the morning sky, and ageing alder trees with fading yellow catkins adorn my pathway. A tree sparrow timidly vacates one of the skillfully erected nesting boxes. I retreat down the riverbank and disturb the quietness of the morning as I stumble into the crack willow, releasing the sharp echo into the cool air, disturbing a moorhen hiding with her young amongst the sedges and rushes at the water's edge. Her distinctive call reflects a timid nature as she gathers her young back into safe seclusion of the reed fringe, with tall bulrushes popping their kofta-like heads above the strappy leaves below. Standing still, I absorb the beauty of this magnificent lagan. Transported by the invigorating air, I listen to the busy activity of nature's creatures at work. I see a small cluster of yellow iris starting to burst forth. What a welcome splash of colour these will be in a few months' time, when their embellished, heraldic fleur-de-lis-like flowers break forth. I take interest in a cluster of shaggy ink caps adorning the base of a dying tree stump. Life and death in symmetry. As I stare into the cool depths of the river, a flash of azure blue and black manoeuvres swiftly onto a decaying tree branch floating on the water surface. Breakfast time for the damselfly. I close my eyes and utter a thankful prayer. What a comfort to feast in God's garden, where I am alive and free to smell, see, feel, and enjoy some rare benefits of this forced isolation. My mind is calmed, my emotions eased. I am reassured. Life on the lagan will continue. This pandemic will pass. Order will be restored. Written by Elizabeth McNeill.
Strangford Lock. Strangford Lock is 20 miles long, 5 miles wide, with at least 70 islands. A beautiful area for sailing and pottering about in boats. On a Friday in July 1967 in Colinchie, County Down, John phoned his friend David. "Hello, Dave. The parents are away this weekend. I fancy going out in the loch." "Hello, John. OK. There's not much happening here. I'll cut the grass later. Leave Dad a note," David replied. "I'll bring some food. Pick you up at 11. "You've passed your driving test? Great. You can ferry me about." At Strangford Lock Yacht Club, White Rock Bay, John parked his mother's car. Outboard engine, oars and rowlocks, life jackets and provisions in place, they launched the dinghy down the slipway onto the trolley. David returned it to its parking spot. They pushed off with oars, started the engine and waved through the boats moored in the bay. They beached the boat on the stony shore of Roe Island, tying the bow rope to a heavy boulder. John carried the bag of food. Dave brought 4 tins of beer and biscuits. They sat eating near the ruins of a cottage. "Tasty sandwiches, ham and cheese. You're quite the housewife," David laughed. "Mum left loads of food. Give us another beer. I suppose you still fancy Gillian?" "You're just crewing in the river because of her," John laughed. "Why not? Her dad needs me to work the spinnaker." The 12 river-class yachts are one design, 29-foot slopes built in 1920 and still race on Saturdays and Wednesdays as they do other classes of boats. The tide's coming in. I'm going to check the boat, John said. He ran up the sloping ground. Dave, it's gone, he yelled. What? Dave shouted as he puffed up the incline. Check all around the island. John felt panic rising. His breath came in gulps. Calm down, John. There'll be a boat passing soon. After the spectacular sunset, all was calm. A sail swam past, gulls wheeled across the sky. They stood wearing bright orange life jackets, scanning all around. We could be stuck here all night, John shivered. A distant purring noise sent them belting down to the shore. A motor cruiser was returning from Portaferry. Their shouts reverberated across the water. The skipper, Jim McBride, shouted, "Hang on there! I'll get the boat moored and come back for you." Darkness was creeping in. It seemed an eternity while Jim ferried his wife ashore. "You boys lost your dinghy?" Jim asked as his inflatable boat touched the shore. "Yes," John said limply. Jim helped them on board. "It was floating down the loch. Very dangerous. I radioed the Coast Guard. It's tied up at Ring Hattie." "Thank you so much," they echoed. "I'm just glad you're safe. Are you okay to get home?" Dave saw his father standing on the jetty thanking Jim. He drove John home. John was grounded for a month. Written by Holly Furs.
Water baby. It doesn't matter what park my partner and I take our guide dogs to. If there's a river, my girl Debbie is sure to be in it. Listening to the sounds of water flowing, birds tweeting, and feeling the sunshine on my face is wonderful. But hearing the sound of my girl in the water having fun is therapeutic to me. Why? Because she's having fun. She's off duty, being a dog, running, playing and enjoying herself. When we let Debbie and Morris off for their free run, they wear bells on their collars so we can hear where they are. It's funny hearing the sound of their bells as they race past us as we walk through the park. The pitch changes and goes slightly lower. This is the Doppler effect. We've stopped walking, and where we are, it's calm and peaceful. We can hear ducks quack as they move through the water. But Debbie decides to change all that. She spots the water, and in she goes. My partner's guide dog Morris goes in, but only gets his feet and tummy wet. Debbie is a swimmer, and so she has to submerge herself completely in the water, which must be cold. We hear her jump in, and she splashes around, paddling and having fun. If I can get close enough, I can actually hear her snuffle and snort as she swims. Her face is in the water. I can hear her making little bubbles. She's really giving herself a good workout there. It's so cute. She has such a sweet, gentle but cheeky wee character. I can't help but smile and laugh at her as I hear her paws rhythmically splashing in the water. Her bells sound strange as the pitch drops a semitone lower in the water. When she finally gets out of the water, I'm quick to retreat as she's about to give herself a big shake, and no doubt I'm likely to get wet. She's all pleased with herself because she's been in the water and comes to me for some praise, rubbing her wet body on my trousers and nuzzling my hand with a wet but warm nose because she's been puffing and panting a lot. Please, Mum, fuss me because I've been so good and you need to get wet too. Well, what can I do? I can't resist. She is a good girl, so I give her some love and fuss, letting her know how special she is. Both Debbie and Morris are our eyes, yes, but they're our companions, our babies. But they are dogs, and they need to have fun, free time, and we love to be there and enjoy it with them. Written by Andrea Hope.
Before we go any further, can I just say thank you for those fabulous films, beautifully shot, beautifully curated, and beautifully edited. And thanks to all the writers who shared their joy and their hope in such an articulate way. 3 very different stories there, and joining us to announce the winner is a TV legend. A man who needs very little introduction, known far and wide for his journeys around Northern Ireland, uncovering all sorts of places and all sorts of people. A man of this place, not only with a beautiful voice that brings music to our accent, but also with the ability to illuminate the extraordinary within what is seemingly ordinary. This man is Northern Ireland, the one and only Joe Mahon.
Hello everyone and welcome to my home Waterway here on the banks of the River Foyle. I'm delighted to be a part in some small way of this Waterways Storymaking event and very privileged really to be asked to announce the result. Seamus Heaney once wrote a poem called Postscript in which he described an experience he had while making a car journey along the coast of North County Clare. He talked about the wild ocean on one side, all foam and glitter, and on the other side, a slate grey lake lit by the earth lightning of a flock of swans. He was clearly moved and excited by what he saw, and yet he wrote in the same poem, "Useless to think, you'll park and capture it more thoroughly." I think we all know what he means, but the joy of this poem is that he did capture it, of course. He captured it in words and showed it to us and kept it for posterity. And that is the same joy we all experience when we've captured something we want to share with others. You don't have to be a Seamus Heaney to experience that. It's the same joy that all our entrants have had in sharing their own unique perspective of the places and the events that they have written about. And that's why it's no mere platitude to say that they're all winners. However, the judges have stuck to their task they were given and produced a short list of 3 commended entries, and they've asked me to pass on some of their comments. Of Water Baby, they said, a wonderful short story about seeing through sound and enjoying the exuberance of guide dogs off duty. The mayhem of 2 excited and happy dogs upending the calm of the riverbank, hinting at a bond where the waters of companionship run deep. My Lagan Retreat, a carefully structured first-person short story brimming with imagery. It examines doubt, faith, and the comfort of nature to calm and reassure on a morning Lagan sidewalk. A closely observed world full of vibrant life. Strangford Lock, a very neatly observed short story. The innocence of young men still under the watchful eye of parents, living at home on their journey towards coming of age, with a little reminder of the limit of their own abilities. For anyone who entered a story that wasn't shortlisted, congratulations for putting pen to paper, or finger to keyboard perhaps. I know that you've experienced the joy that I mentioned earlier. And now that you have put your toe in the water, I hope that you'll join in again next year. The 3 shortlisted entrants are all prize winners, but the judges have decided on a winner in this category. The story that they chose was the one that they felt was a soulful, perceptive and brilliantly observed piece of writing which begs to be read aloud. That story, and the top prize winner this year, is My Lagan Retreat by Elizabeth McNeil. Congratulations, Elizabeth, really well done. I hope you will continue to write for the enjoyment of others and of course for your own joy as well, as I hope will all the entrants this year. Now it's goodbye from me and back to John.
Thanks very much, Joe. Hopefully we shall see you again very soon on our screens with stories and crack from around the country. And congratulations to Elizabeth. Now, before we dive into the poetry section, why don't we just wallow once more in the wondrous talent of Ciara ONeil.
Thanks again, John, and thank you again for having me today. It's been so lovely to get to play some songs, especially in such a beautiful venue. We're here in St Joseph's Church in Sailortown. This next song is called La Lune Voit, which means the moon sees everything, and again, it's going to be on my upcoming EP. Don't close your eyes on a fight. Make your peace, then turn out the light. Don't fear the dark unknown. I'll help you find your way back home. La Lune, La Lune, La Lune Voit. Don't be scared, it'll turn out just fine. Even the worst days will rise with the tide. Don't you settle for anything less than what you deserve. Live no regrets. La Lune, La Lune, La Lune Voit. La Lune, La Lune, La Lune Voit. Oh, 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 oh. Don't look back, just start where you are, one step at a time, just you, me, the stars. Don't avoid change, there are so many roads. Even the seasons will turn green to gold. La Lune, La Lune, La Lune Voit. La Lune, La Lune, La Lune Voit. La Lune, La Lune, La Lune Voit.
And this is my last song. This is the title track of my second album, Arrow. And thanks again to the Waterways community and the Storymaking Festival for having me. And this has been so lovely, and massive congratulations to all the nominees and the winners. So this is Arrow.
Give yourself to the arrow. Give yourself to the spark. Give yourself to peace and love and things that break your heart. Give yourself to the earth. Give yourself to the sun. Give yourself to everything that makes you wanna run. 'Cause my arrow seems to point away from home. Where it leads me, I'll never be alone. And my arrow places me here today, and I will listen to what it has to say. Give yourself to joy. Give yourself to pain. Give yourself to the moment, and things will go your way. Give yourself to everything that makes a wrong a right. Two wrongs won't make it easier or help you in this life. 'Cause my arrow seems to point away from home. Where it leads me, I'll never be alone. And my arrow places me here today, and I will listen to what it has to say. Give yourself to joy. Give yourself to pain. Give yourself to the moment, and things will go your way. Give yourself to everything that makes a wrong a right. Two wrongs won't make it easier or help you in this life. 'Cause my arrow seems to point away from home. Where it leads me, I'll never be alone. places me here today, and I will listen to what it has to say. Oh, 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 it can guide me by day, oh, and lead me by night. Oh, I promise everything will be alright. It can guide me this way, oh, and lead me astray. Oh, I promise, I promise, I promise, 'cause my arrow seems to point away from home. But where it leads me, I'll never be alone. And my arrow places me here today, and I will listen to what it has to say. To say, give yourself to the arrow, give yourself to the spark, give yourself to faith and hope, and soon you'll make your mark.
And now back to John.
Ah, Ciara, thank you so much. Give yourself to faith and hope, and soon you'll make your mark. What an amazing lyric. And also, it's a sort of advice that provides encouragement to all those who might be thinking of entering in the future. Thanks, Ciara. That was just amazing. Thanks for taking us on that momentary escape away from everyday concerns, and also showing us the depth of talent that exists here in Northern Ireland. Right, we brought you stories, we brought you music, we brought you images so far, but the noise you can hear in the background, that's the poets. Yep, they're getting a bit impatient, they're getting a bit noisy, they're getting a bit tetchy, because that's what they're known for. So, we'd better get on with announcing before we have a socially distanced, if not poetic riot on our hands. We have a short list of 6 poems in the poetry category, and I'm glad it wasn't my job to choose between them. Again, in no particular order, those 6 poems are Lighter Moments by Rhonda Glasgow, On the Contrary by Angie Porter, Riverine by Dana Byatt, Stepping Stones by Melanie Stewart, Symbiosis by Amy Louise Wyatt, and The Lagan's Natural Waterways by Greg McElwain. These 6 will now be performed once again by actors Karen Hawthorne and Adam Douglas.
Riverine. When I was young, you were simply a smudge on the map I skipped past, a mere echo from distant Dramara hills as I chased far-flung famous 5 storylines. You were melody, calling to me as I constructed tenuous huts trussed to chestnut trees. You were the source from which the jewelled trout were pulled out, or so I was told. You were the one from which kingfishers picked sticklebacks, a subterranean treasure chest. You were the mirage on a child's horizon, the Crayola backdrop to a never-ending expedition. You are the destination, sought out as a saviour, the sanctuary of a come-of-age, never-too-late explorer. Written by Dana Byatt.
Symbiosis. Each lighter was drawn by horse, and each horse was given a name. At the 3rd lock, they'd lie up, allow their horses rest, for it took 2 days to reach Loch Ney from Belfast City. Witnesses say the lighter men were kind, ran their blackened fingers through the manes of their companions, took turns to walk the towing path, step for step, would whisper, "Not much further now." Listen to the history of our waterways, a language shared by weary men and horses, their stories inscribed by hoof and foot along the towpaths of the Lagan. Written by Amy Louise Watt.
Stepping Stones. The Shimna River in the county of Down, from the mountains of Mourne through Newcastle town. I followed the water to the Irish Sea with a man who meant the world to me. A sparkling waterfall and the white foam below, the thundering sound of rumble and flow. Tiny hands gripping a treasured shiny stone, his strong warm arms carrying me home. At Tipperary Woods, where the river gets lazy, lush green grass and the sunshine hazy, collecting frog spawn or aging a tree, a love of nature he instilled in me. Stepping Stones at Tullymore, where the river is clear and deep. Castle Park, a rowing boat, a bridge and a salmon leap. My daughters now making these memories with me. My father is with us, from mountain to sea. Written by Melanie Stewart.
Lighter moments. I remember after school, or instead of school, running down the towpath. Damp cow parsley brushing my legs, hope thudding in my chest. Would the lighter still be there? The wee dog barked his welcome, and the lighter man handed me an apple, shining red against his hand. Big hands with nails edged in black. His eyes shone from his weather-beaten face. I smelt sweat and heat and coal. He kept me going, teasing me, his great roaring laughs echoing over the river. Sometimes I got my own back. He repeated what I said and laughed some more. Then, too soon, always too soon, we reached the lock. I said cheerio and jumped onto the bank. With a mock salute, they receded. Silence closed over the river. I fished till the sun set, my head full of it all. I dreamt of a life on the river, with a dog and a boat of my own. Written by Rhonda Glasgow.
On the contrary. Time for my precious trip to the river. Amazing how the circumstances change. Compare each one with the other. You realise where you prefer to be. At home, children doing what they're told. Field beside the river, they enjoy their freedom. Parents relax on the grass. Deep breath of fresh air. Fond of that little time of release. Lunchtime at home, jam sandwich, yuck. Picnic by the river, jam sandwich, Kitchen table, try not to make a mess. Blanket on the field, open tinfoil with excitement. House all alone, wall facing another, surrounded by loneliness again. Settled on a bench, enjoying my isolation. Nature, freshness, views and trickles of water. Indoors, sight of a spider, you squeal. On a bench, taking in the beauty. Patterns on the spider while climbing its creation. The detail in its web, exquisite. Straight face, worry what has to be done next. Dandering by the river, not a care in the world. Smiles all around, pleasing, enjoyable, satisfying. Clear mind, taking in current happenings. Change of surroundings can help so much, for so many people, in so many ways. Mine is my river. Peace, pleasure, relaxation, something to look forward to. Written by Angie Porter.
The Lagan's natural waterways. A cold winter's day on the Lagan. The smell of rotted wood and greasy cogs as the lock gates were checked like a military inspection. Whilst nature provided the soundtrack, birds whistling, leaves crunching and winds blowing. The water slapping as it fought against the mucky riverbanks. At night, he nestled in the reeds, out of his vermin-prey sight, his steely blue eye aimed down the barrel of his gun, taking a deep breath and a tight hold. Flashbacks racing in his head of his army years, the moonlight reflecting off the weapon's metalwork. He got the rats in his line of sight. As he took his shot to rid the Lagan of these pests, he was the lock keeper in the 70s. Killing rats is the only good memory of my dad. My natural waterway breaks the bank and trickles down my cheek. Written by Greg McIlwain.
Wow, well done to all the poets for whom every word has a power and a purpose. And to announce the prize winners, I'm going to hand you over to Olive Broderick. Olive is an accomplished poet herself with a recent publication of her own poetry called Night Divers. She's been a friend of the festival since the start and has supported and inspired many beginners through the story-making workshops. Over to you, Olive, for the top three.
Good afternoon to you all. I've been involved with the festival as creative writing workshop facilitator since the beginning, and it's given me the opportunity to work with so many fantastic groups. It wasn't possible this year, of course, to have our usual sessions in community groups and libraries, and I certainly missed the energy and creativity they brought. There's so much talent out there and so much joy to be found in the written word. As always, you have made the judges' job extremely difficult with the breadth of work you have shared with us. Because the judges cannot be here in person, I have a few thoughts to share from their deliberations. First, Stepping Stones by Melanie Stewart. The judges say, the stepping stones over the Shimna River in Tollymore Forest Park. This is a poem written with love for precious memories of the simpler things of life, from mountain to sea, and it will resonate with many readers who have known good times with loved ones in the heart of the wonderful countryside. It leaves a smile to lift you if you're feeling down. Next, Symbiosis by Amy Louise Wyatt. The judges say, the symbiosis of horse and man and water. Not a word is wasted in this short poem. The imagery is direct and powerful, and the sense of the Lagan's history as a shared language of weary men and horses, stories inscribed by hoof and foot, remove any thought of picture postcard memories. Lighter Moments by Rhonda Glasgow. The judges say that this poem is a eulogy to another age, seen through the innocence of a child's eyes and the romanticism, as it seemed, of the lighterman on the river. The pride of a youngster teased and indulged by the lighterman. A poem of anticipation, joy, sadness at parting, which leaves the reader wistful and reflective also, perhaps for our own dreams dreamt in our youth. On the Contrary by Angie Porter. This lovely poem neatly captures how the mundane and everyday of home life can be transformed into adventure and a different lived experience against the backdrop of a precious trip to the river, any river, for the magic is the same. The Lagan's Natural Waterways by Gregory McIlwain. This poem challenges the reader from the outset with the smell of rotted wood and greasy cogs of the lock gates. There is nothing cosy, nostalgic or comforting here. This is a visceral poem that forces us to confront another reality among the reeds of the riverbank, the trauma of a past still lived today. Finally, Riverine by Dana Byatt. The judges say that this is a lovely lyrical poem that celebrates and reminds us of the quiet certainty of the river, perhaps sometimes unnoticed, running through the years from child to adult. It is a poem dancing with imagery as the sun dances on a water surface, reminding us that you are never too early in life or too late to explore the joy of a river. I just wanted to add just a couple of my own lines. As always, I want to share my congratulations to the shortlisted poets, but also to add a word of appreciation and congratulations to everybody who submitted their poems to this year's anthology. All the lines regarding the river, your own river, wherever that might be, its associations, ministrations and impact are important. But I'm sure that there are some anxious poets out there waiting to hear for the winners. So I'm going to not keep you any further and announce the top 3 in reverse order. In third place, Melanie Stewart for Stepping Stones. In second place, the multi-talented Rhonda Glasgow for Lighter Moments. And it's my pleasure to announce that this year's top prize goes to Amy Louise Wyatt for Symbiosis. Well done, everyone, for creating such great work in such anxious times. I hope everyone watching can join us again next year, get involved with the workshops and give it a try. Regardless of your age and writing experience, I promise you, you will enjoy it. Now I'm going to hand you back to John.
Thank you very much, Olive. Beautifully said. And we are privileged to be able to say congratulations to Amy Louise Wyatt, who can now join us live from Bangor. Hi, Amy. Congratulations.
Hi, John. Thank you so much. I'm really shocked. I just assumed that I was maybe, just getting my work read out. So this is quite a shock to me.
Well, thoroughly well deserved. Beautiful, beautiful poem, Symbiosis. And I want to talk to you about that. I can see even from your background there that you have a great love of animals. When did your love of horses begin?
Well, I think probably some of my first memories of horses. Now, let's get this straight. I don't ride horses. Okay, I don't have skill set in that way. But I remember my granny and granda, we'd finish church, and then sometimes on a Sunday, we would maybe go for an ice cream at the cabin in Donegal, and then go for a drive and stop and feed the horses. And I still remember that to this day, from no age, probably younger than my son is now.
Gosh, fantastic. And tell us about your career in poetry. When did this love of poetry first begin with you?
Well, I think I've been an avid reader since I was no age. I would have spent all day engrossed in a book, be that prose or poetry. But I remember writing one of my first poems when I was in primary school, and it was about fireworks. I think it was something to do with the firework display. And I kind of, just loved being able to express myself in that way. And then it kind of faded away, came back, faded away, and now I would write a lot. So it's never really left.
That's brilliant, though. From fireworks to this, to another celebration. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
And would you write a lot of poetry? How many poems would you write, say, in a month?
Oh, I'm doing my masters at the minute, John. So I'm trying to write a lot. But yeah, I would probably try to write at least a poem a week. I'm not saying that would be a finished poem, but it would be maybe at least a first draft. So I try to keep myself busy and my mind active as much as I can.
And what's your master's in?
Creative writing.
Brilliant, perfect.
So open university, so I can do it around work, and I really enjoy it. And there's a fabulous kind of community of people who are very inspiring. So it's really lovely.
Well, you yourself have been inspiring to many through this competition. Tell me about the first time that any of your poems was ever performed.
Oh, I do remember a very, very nervous me, maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. I think it was a Women Allowed NI event, and I got up to perform. It might not even have been that long ago. I got up to perform and I was actually shaking, physically shaking. I don't shake as much, but I still shake a little bit now if I have to read anything.
And were you happy with the performance of Symbiosis?
Oh, it was beautiful, John. It was, do you know, it's so wonderful to hear somebody else read your words, and the images and the moving images were just fantastic. I wish somebody would do that to every poem that I could write.
This could be the start of that.
Oh, I know.
How did you know about the festival? How did you first hear about it?
I think I have been entering the festival since the beginning. I love it. And I've been to a couple of Olive's workshops in the past. She's a real inspiration to me, actually. I really always get so much out of her workshops and the community of people that are involved in it. And what I love about it is it doesn't matter if you have experience or knowledge of the waterways. It doesn't matter if you have experience or knowledge of writing. Everybody has their own sort of voice and opportunity, and that's what I love about it.
Have you been to any of the festival events, apart from obviously those workshops?
Well, we had my mum and my son, we actually went to Craigavon last year, and we did a lovely hotel overnighter in Lisburn. But we have a really funny story because we had our cases for the overnight stay, but we went to Craigavon first because we were going to miss the event. And we missed the entrance, and we had to walk around the whole building dragging all our suitcases in the mud. So I'm sure all the staff in the hotel were just looking at us going, what on earth are these people?
It sounds like it was a heck of a tour, but a very enjoyable one, from Bangor to Lisburn to Craigavon and back.
Everywhere.
Brilliant. Amy Louise, thank you so much for inspiring others, and thank you for not only writing Symbiosis, but for not just sticking it in a drawer and hiding it away, for sharing it with us and for sharing your talent, your time, and the beauty of what you can create with all of us. Congratulations, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much to everybody. I really, really appreciate it, John. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Louise Wyatt, the winner of the poetry section of today's festival competition. And we've just heard from Elizabeth McNeil, the winner in the prose section, and she says, "Thanks so much to the Waterways Storymaking Festival team for putting such beautiful imagery to my prose Lagan retreat, and for the reader who brought it to life. Thank you. I'm in shock." No need to be in shock, Elizabeth. Congratulations to you, and well done to all those who have allowed us to share in their talent today. Now, just before we go, we've got some final words from another friend of the festival, Ian Greenway, Director of the Historic Environment Division of the Department of Communities.
Good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, and most importantly, thank you and congratulations to all the entrants and to all the prize winners. I've been a supporter of the Waterways Community Group for a number of years now, attending a number of these events, thinking back to those days when we could actually gather together, have tea and chat, as well as looking at the prize winners. Do you remember that? I'm therefore really pleased that the festival's managed to come together in this way in these challenging times to continue its work and been able to bring forward a wide range of perspectives on the historic and natural environment around us. The Department for Communities combines a commitment to present-day communities and to the tangible and intangible memories of past life and communities here. We are about supporting people, building communities and shaping places, and see this festival as a vibrant expression of both past and present together. I therefore fully intend that the department will continue to support the Waterways community and the festival as it grows from strength to strength. I understand the new festival arrangements will be out in the late summer, and I understand they're planning a move to an international perspective. The Waterways community certainly never stands still, and I'm sure there's a metaphor in there somewhere. I hope that many more people through these stronger, wider connections and through these online platforms will be able to connect in with the Waterways work, appreciating and celebrating the immense richness of this place and of the people. It's been a great afternoon. Thank you to all the volunteers in the Waterways Community Group, particularly the judges and the people, as always, behind the scenes making all of this possible. Thank you also to our host, John, and to the prize givers, Jude, Joe and Olive, who've given an immense amount of their time and effort and support. It's hard indeed to remember a time when such things were done together physically and not via screens, but I hope very much by this time next year we'll be able to come together again, as well as having a virtual commitment. So thank you all very much, and I'll hand back now to John.
Thank you, Ian, and I would just like to add my thanks again to all those who took part in the festival, to the speakers, to the immensely talented and the beautiful words and music of Ciara ONeil. And I suppose Ciara's performance raises the question, should we be including a new festival competition, writing and performing music, a category for that? We may discover even more hidden talent. And if you have any thoughts on that, please do feel free. Give us your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks also to those behind the scenes and to the Waterways community for creating this event in the first place. The festival has accomplished a great deal in its first 4 years, but it couldn't exist without the generosity of all of those who've entered, all of those who've shared their thoughts, their emotions, and their ability to capture that one moment. So thank you to all of you for that. And thank you from me for the privilege of allowing me to be involved in this wonderful event. I hope you all enjoyed this break from the lockdown routine as much as I did. It's the first time I haven't been wearing pajama bottoms for almost a year now, but that's another story. And maybe you've been inspired to pick up a pen or camera and get involved yourselves. Looking forward to 2021, the festival team hope to be able to bring back its creative workshops across all the visual, craft and writing categories, targeting younger age groups and exploring the opportunities in this virtual world that we're now living in. So if you want to keep in touch, please like the Facebook page and keep an eye out for the launch of next year's festival in the summer and autumn. That's just about all from me. Thanks for taking the time to join in today. Take care and please enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Take care now. Bye-bye.